Happy Thursday night, Bills Mafia. Special Thursday night edition of Shout at Buffalo Football Podcast coming into your life. And as always, all off season long, we are brought to you by Value Home Centers. Listen, it's grilling season, Ryan Talbot. Okay, I just got out there today. I made some sausages. I stopped over at Tops yesterday. I got some Minio and Sapio. Those are my favorite. Put some salad hot dogs for the kids on the grill. And it would be nice to have a really nice grill over the course of the summer to grill things up. And right now you can get over to Value Home Centers and get yourself a Weber. It is marked down big time. Usually goes for $4.99. The Spirit 2 E210 propane grill, $4.99. Usually it's down to $3.99. Save $100. That deal is going on all the way through July 14th. So head over to your local Value Home Centers, get yourself hooked up with a brand new Weber grill. How are you, Ryan Talbot?
Hey, I am doing great, Matt. Feeling better each passing day. I'm excited to have another Shout podcast talk with you and our guest tonight. So I'm ready to go.
Yeah, so let's set this thing up a little bit. We're going to cover a few things. We're going to get into the match a little bit, talk about some of our takeaways, observations from watching everything that unfolded yesterday. I thought maybe some of the most interesting stuff happened before they ever stepped foot on the golf course, but we'll get into that in a few moments here. We're going to talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick. He obviously is going to be retiring here after a 17-year NFL career, 4 of those with the Bills, the longest stretch with any team in his NFL career. And then we will bring on Bills superfan, Brother Bill, for the first time. It's something we've been working on, trying to hash out for months, trying to find a date that works. He's got a very busy schedule as a barber, so he's going to fit us in here tonight. We're going to just learn a little bit more about him, talk a little Bills. It's going to be fun. And I thought Alex here on YouTube had a really fun comment. He said, I'd like to be a Bills superfan someday and sit in a premium box and see each game. Every now and then the broadcast would cut away to me with the super fan flashed across the screen. Very cool, Alex. I think that would be a pretty cool life to live. What do you think, Ryan Talbot?
Yeah, I think it'd be a pretty cool life to live. You're starting to see some commercials. You're starting to see a lot of recognition. Some celebrity Bills fans who know who Brother Bill is. They retweet his stuff. So I think there's some perks to maybe being a super fan as well.
So the match, let's get into it. And hi, Kate and Cody over on Facebook. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick in a few moments. But I guess let's just get into the biggest takeaway. I'll start with you, Ryan, just from, what you witnessed last night. The golf was really bad for the most part. I thought Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers saved it a little bit, but even Tom Brady off the tee was for the guy that was putting out a video of, the shot from the fairway where he sinks it from like 150 out. I didn't see that guy in the golf course. He was pretty bad. What was your biggest takeaway from this whole ordeal last night?
Yeah, my biggest takeaway is I think Bills fans should be thrilled. You don't have to worry about Josh Allen leaving the NFL early to pursue a golfing career, a professional one at that. Probably the nerves, probably having a national audience, being out there with those other quarterbacks. But yeah, he was brutal yesterday. It was tough to watch. Obviously had that big putt on hole 12 that he almost sank. That was his highlight. He had a few decent shots here and there, but for the most part, a very rough outing for Mr. Allen. What did you get out of it, Matt?
Well, shout out to our good buddy Scott Moreno, who is a Shout podcast super fan. And he said that that's greater than being a Bills super fan. I don't know about that, but we appreciate you, my brother. Yeah, I think I was a little bit underwhelmed with the trash talk. Like going into it, I wonder if maybe the guys kind of, let go of their best material over the course of the weeks leading up to it. Josh Allen and Tom Brady, I thought were the two that really kind of got into it. And then Josh Allen had the great golf ball meme with Tom Brady's combine picture, poking a little fun at him. And then Tom Brady came back with a picture of the Lombardi. Yeah. I think everybody's got that one. He ruined the joke though, Ryan. That's something that I think flew under the radar. Brady was like, "Oh, have you ever seen a Lombardi trophy before?" Tom, Everybody's seen a Lombardi Trophy. He plays in the NFL. He's a quarterback in the NFL. He's wanted to play for a Super Bowl his whole life. Of course, he's seen a Lombardi Trophy before.
Yeah, I probably should have said, have you ever hoisted one of these before? Something along those lines, obviously. But you're right. It was a lot of hype about the trash talk leading up to it. They're kind of quiet on the course for the most part. Obviously, they have to interact, though, with the hosts as well, with Charles Barkley, J.J. Watt, and everyone else. I'm sure it's harder than it seems. I know at one point they said Josh Allen's earpiece wasn't working. So technical difficulties, too. But for the most part, I think you're right. I think the best material was shared on social media in the week or two ahead of the match itself.
There was a really awkward exchange between Charles Barkley and Josh Allen at one point where I think Charles Barkley was trying to like compliment Josh and was like, "Man, I love to watch you sling it, boy." And I don't know if like Patrick Mahomes was in the background and didn't really quite hear what Charles said. He was kind of like, "What?" And I think Josh looked over, saw Patrick, saw the camera, and Chuck said, excuse me," or something. It was super awkward, like just like a weird, awkward exchange. But I thought that Barkley made it the viewing experience great. Like I'm a big NBA fan, gonna get dialed up for game 1 tonight at 9 p.m. And Charles Barkley is he's a staple of the NBA, and watching like pregame, postgame, hearing what he has to say. And I thought he was excellent in that setting yesterday.
Yeah, he's very comfortable with that. He golfs all the time too. I enjoyed the back and forth with the PGA, the actual golfer there with Watt saying that he's going to beat him in golf, the confidence and the bravado that he had, but then also the interactions with the players out there on the course. They obviously respect him like Barkley, and he delivered. He did help that broadcast quite a bit.
So Josh Allen, the Bills put out a video today. They made sure to double down on Josh Allen's like sneaky comment that he made to Aaron Rodgers when he was playing really well early. I think he sank a putt, and Josh Allen was like, he's really good at golf. That must be what happens when you don't go to OTAs, because Josh Allen had been at OTAs. The only reason he wasn't there on Tuesday is because he had to fly to Vegas and get ready for the match. And the Bills put out a video today that Josh Allen was back in Buffalo at practice today. What do you think that I was going to ask you about that. What do you think that means to the other guys in that locker room? Knowing the fact that the entire country pretty much was watching that last night. If they weren't watching, they were tracking it on social media. He was in Vegas. He was on the West Coast. Probably could have gone out and partied. Patrick Mahomes started the party on the golf course, having a couple of Coors Lights, which, by the way, Coors Light, really? Come on, guy. I remember my first beer. I was really surprised that Josh Allen didn't have a 12-pack of Lebat Blue. Let's be honest. Like, I thought that we were going to see, charity softball game, Josh, but we saw a very serious, and I think that might have been part of his problem.
Yeah.
But he gets back to Buffalo. He gets to practice. What do you think the vibe is in the room, knowing that that's what he did last night and he was ready to work, get to practice today?
Well, I think that means a lot to that locker room. He's the last person that probably needs to be at these OTAs. You have a franchise quarterback. You know what he can do based on these last few seasons. And then you have him, like you said, he's out on the West Coast. This event ended around 10:30 at night, obviously East Coast time. He takes a flight there back home, and he's out there midday back in Buffalo for an OTA practice. So it says a lot about the dedication, how seriously he's viewing this season, knowing the importance of it, knowing that the Bills are the Super Bowl favorite. So I'm sure he got some razzing from his teammates about the event itself. But to be there, I guarantee you every last one of them were thrilled to see him in the locker room today.
We got some news that I think kind of flew under the radar yesterday because of the match. Andre Smith, a very valuable special teamer, he's going to be suspended for the first 6 games of this season after, in regards to performance enhancing drug. Obviously, probably testing positive for that in the NFL's testing program. And that means that's a really interesting development, because Andre Smith, a guy that's kind of like a fringe roster guy from a defensive perspective, but what he adds in terms of value on special teams, it's almost like you put him in pen on that 53-man roster. If he's not able to play for those first 6 games, Ryan, I think that seriously affects, whether or not the Bills keep him around. I know that they like him a lot, and Andre Smith came out with a statement, and I can
Yeah.
actually read that for you right here. He said yesterday, the recent turn of events have been very unfortunate. I've been appealing since November to prove my innocence. I do not agree with the decision that was made, and I've never and will never take a PED. So, if this is a situation where the Bills talk to Andre Smith, they've had him in their program for a while. They traded a 7th-round pick for him a couple years ago to the Carolina Panthers. You like the guy. Maybe that's something that you say, all right, well, we'll stick with him. Maybe they put him on the 53. Then he gets suspended and a roster spot open up. Who knows? But definitely something that we're going to have to track now. It makes things a little bit more interesting in training camp.
Yeah, listen, the Bills can keep him on the roster, and then he won't count against it when that suspension kicks in. But that still gives another player 6 weeks to take his spot on special teams. And you look at this roster; they already have some depth linebackers here, but they also drafted 2 linebackers this year, Terrell Bernard, and then obviously late in the draft, Balin Spector. So maybe this opens the door for a Balin Spector to go right in there and show what he can do on special teams and earn that job. You have your Tyrell Dotson, who's already part of the special teams unit. You have some other players on this roster, Giles Harris and players like that who have been around here for a year or two, or depending on who they are. The door for some people who have been here, but also some rookies and maybe even an undrafted rookie who could be flying under the radar. And all of a sudden now they say, hey, I have an opportunity here with this guy that was contributing about 60% of the special team snaps being suspended for 6 weeks. So it doesn't mean he's not going to make the initial roster, but even if he does make this roster, 6 weeks is a long time for some player to get an opportunity to put out some reps on film, actual game film, to show, listen, you should be keeping me when all is said and done here. And when that suspension's up, he should be the one getting released and trying to get added to the practice squad or what have you. What did you think about that, Matt?
So I think the first thing you start thinking about the depth, to your point, and the opportunity that's going to be presented for some of these guys. Alex asks on YouTube if he's out of appeals. Yeah, the process played out. He's obviously had several appeals dating back to November, as he mentioned. So this has been an ongoing process. This isn't something where he just tested positive in the offseason. This is going back to last season. And so Matthew Harmon says he can say what he wants. You lose the appeal. Doesn't matter what you say. And listen, I covered the UFC for years. Like it's a very gray area, in terms of what people, the kind of work you got to do to put, to really check what you put in your body when you're taking these different kind of supplements. But the first thing I thought of, Ryan, is Balin Spector. I on Tuesday, it's not something that I put in my observations. It was very, small, back of the notebook type of thing. But, there was a moment in practice where Balin Spector and Sean McDermott, spent some time. Like, it reminded me a lot of the work that he has done over the years with Taron Johnson. You don't see often Sean McDermott during practice time just stop and go one-on-one with a guy. And I think that Spector, I had a very brief chat with him back at rookie minicamp. Nothing for a story, just to kind of get to know him a little bit and, a little bit about his story. His dad played wide receiver at Clemson. So he was kind of like a legacy, went on, was a safety in high school, became a linebacker. So he's got that kind of versatility. And the way that people talked about him at Clemson, the dude was just an absolute like lightning rod for contact. I mean, he just seeks it out wherever he's playing on the field. You should expect some type of fracas, if you will, that he's going to get into. And so I think that Spector is a guy for me that I'm zeroing in on. I think Bernard is a roster lock, but Spector is a guy that I could see that being a situation where he's the last man out because they trust a guy like Andre Smith. Well, now with the reps potentially that he's going to get in the summer, they can maybe, he can maybe earn enough trust with the coaching staff where you say, all right, let's give him that roster spot. We drafted him. Let's go with that. And maybe try to get Andre Smith back on the practice squad if it works out.
Yeah, and listen, Smith is allowed to be there at training camp. He's allowed to be out there in the preseason. But if the Bills are smart, they're going to be giving someone else those reps in the live game action, the preseason games, because week one, Smith isn't going to be there. So you want to see what your special teams unit looks like without him. And Spector is, you're right, probably the biggest beneficiary. He was drafted late in the draft. When you take a linebacker that late, you are kind of pegging them as a special teams contributor, at least early in their career, where then maybe they can build into some kind of role on defense where they play a few snaps here or there. So he has a great opportunity. He played at a big time program at Clemson. So, he's played the best of the best. He's going to know what to expect. He's going to understand and pick up this playbook pretty well. It's going to be interesting to see what he looks like this summer.
Mm-hmm. So check this out. Value Home Centers. They just opened up a new location in Bath, New York. We mentioned it on a couple podcasts already. It's open. They're planning a special grand opening celebration for all stores beginning June 5th and running for 2 weeks after that. They're going to have crazy specials, low prices on everything in the store. So check out the details on that. You can find it over at their website, valuehomecenters.com. We did the math last episode from Buffalo. It's about 2 hours to get to Bath, New York. Just make the drive. Why not? It's a scenic drive, Ryan. I did the research. It's a scenic drive to Bath, New York. You drive there, you maybe do some hiking, check out a little, I don't know, there's got to be some type of little waterfall or something on the way. Every time I kind of start traveling up and down New York State, you find all these nice little nuggets, these like nice little pockets, if you will, of things to explore.
Yeah, absolutely. And 1 hour from Olean, as we found out on Tuesday night. So I might have to make the trek myself.
Now, if I'm correct, I'm pretty sure that a lot of these deals are going to be at all the Value Home Centers as part of the big celebration. So you might not have to make the drive, but I'm just saying it's a brand new store. Go check it out. All right. Moving right along here. I'm so excited for this portion of the show. We've been working on this for probably like a year, really, where we were trying to find a good time to do it. In season's tough. His schedule's been tough. Our schedule's been tough. So I said, and we were going to actually do it a couple weeks ago. And he was really gracious. I really wanted to focus in on what was happening in Buffalo at the time with the shooting at the Tops. And so we wanted to focus that episode that week in on having an important conversation about, racism and, just what's going on in this country. And so without further ado, I am excited now to bring my buddy, Brother Bill, straight out of the Rot Cha in the house. What's up, buddy?
What's up, guys? I'm happy to finally be on here.
Happy to have you on here.
It is so crazy, like getting schedules to line up, right? Because I feel like, everybody's got so many different things going on. And it's funny, when me and Ryan started the podcast, we did a lot of interviews. We were really interview heavy at the start, but it just gets so tough to kind of line everybody's schedule up because people are doing all this stuff. And, you're working, you got a tough gig. You got this whole super fan thing going on and also like the day job. What's it like kind of juggling those two lives, if you will?
Yeah, it gets season wide. Like when the season's going on, it definitely is tough because it's like almost like another job in the season when I'm pumping out videos and trying to think of things and ordering things to be like next day delivery to get my props in and all that stuff. So that gets tricky, especially when it gets into like the winter months and like it gets dark by like 6. I'm trying to film in daylight and I work till 8 half the days I work. So like it definitely gets tricky. So I got to force my girlfriend out of bed really early on like Sunday mornings and stuff like that to get the early shots. But it's so much fun. So it's always worth it.
So how did this all begin?
Had to be about 3 years ago now. It was like the week going into the Texans playoff game. And I'm a diehard Cubs fan too. And they have this dude, his name's Dom Frederick on Twitter. And he's like this like super positive, super funny Cubs fan. And I was like driving up to Scranton Wilkes-Barre to see one of my buddies play for the Penguins AHL affiliate. And it's just a long drive. And I was like super fired up about the playoff game and feeling really good about that whole season. And I was like, I want to make like almost like a page that's kind of like that for Bills fans. Cause I didn't feel like we necessarily had, like, we have a lot of awesome things, but like what he brought, I thought I had a similar sense of humor and like enthusiasm. So I was like, I'm going to make this page. And I was just driving up there Brother Bill was really like the first thing that popped in my head. I don't know why, really. I just thought it was like a funny name. And Bills by a Billion was like the first thing I thought of too. And I just started tweeting. I didn't really have much of a following. And it wasn't until like a year and a half later when I started doing the wake up videos where like it started to really pick up steam and get popular.
It's awesome. That is awesome.
Take me through. I'm going to play a video here in a moment. You sent it along today so people can kind of get an idea of if they haven't seen one of your videos before, they can get an idea of what they are. But take me through the week, because you mentioned it. You got to order stuff for your props, so you got to get them in. You got to plan this. Like, what does are you planning things weeks out, or is it like you get to the game week and you sit down with a pad and maybe a couple buddies and your girlfriend and be like, all right, what are we gonna do this week?
Yeah, I definitely have like an idea board. So like I've already started like jotting down just like loose ideas. I really don't think about too much. That's part of just who I am. I'm a huge procrastinator, and I've always been that way. And I honestly think I do better though when I do procrastinate. So I try not to I definitely want to get like a like basic overview of what I'm thinking, like Cincinnati, I'll put like Skyline Chili, like stuff like that, like just like really basic things. And then as that week nears, maybe like the week before, I start like kind of thinking about it. But right after, whenever the last game like ended, like that night, I'm like, all right, I need to like pump this out. And there's like nights where like I don't sleep because I'm like in my bed just playing through like, well, how's this gonna work? How am I gonna tie this in and have it be new and like still funny so it doesn't get like, just the same thing over and over. Because now we've played some teams. I think I've done the Patriots like 6 times, maybe 5 times. So that gets a little tough. But yeah, the one I sent you was the playoff game. So like I didn't know who we were playing. I didn't know anything till a week, 6 days before. So that one was tough. I was like very stressed out, but the movie idea to do Good Will Hunting kind of like just popped in my head, and I was like, I'm gonna run with that. And it's just weird how my like randomly throughout the work week, I'll have something pop in my head and I'll write it down real fast in my notes and then just kind of like make it happen.
That's amazing. I got a story to tell about you, but let's first show a clip of this so people can kind of get an idea of what a video actually is like if you haven't seen one.
What are you doing?
Sorry.
A 7-nation army couldn't hold me back. They're gonna rip it off, taking their time right behind my back. And I'm talking to myself at night because I can't forget. Back and forth through my mind behind a cigarette. And a message coming from my eyes says, leave it alone.
Do you like apples?
Yeah.
Well, the Bills just won back-to-back AFC East championships. How you like them apples?
Don't wanna hear about it.
My boy's wicked smart.
Every single one's got a story to tell. Everyone knows about it. From the Queen of England to the hounds of
Dude, that's great stuff. That was definitely classic. I'm a big Good Will Hunting fan, so when I saw that for the first time and when I quote tweeted, I was like, man, this dude does not miss. Like, it was great. And just the details that go into it, like, it's one thing to kind of like, do the videos, but there's so much like little detail that you could tell that, scripting them week to week, getting your dog involved, which I think is like the official dog of Bills Mafia, which is super awesome. It's just one cool thing about it is I feel like it brings people a lot of joy. I think it brings a lot of people together, and that's got to probably be one of the cooler parts of what you do.
100%. And I think like the first year that I did it was like the COVID year, and it was kind of like trying to think of something that could like replace the tailgate gap and kind of like still have the tailgate culture. And like, I think that's what I was really like aiming for, was like, how can I like, cause I couldn't go to the games anymore and do what I always did. So I was like, how can I kind of like bring this to life through Twitter and what I've been doing. And it's so fun. That scene at the end with my dog was literally like, I was just about to go to work and I just thought of that idea right before I was leaving. I was like, I have to film this really fast because my girlfriend had never seen it. So I made her watch the movie with me the night before.
Oh my god!
And that's when like I got to go see about the girl thing, which I kind of forgot about because I hadn't seen it in a while. So I'm like thinking of how to end it. And I always try to put him in at the end. And I was like, that is perfect. So I filmed that real fast, but that was like my favorite scene ever, probably.
That's unbelievable. Now you've mentioned like overnighting props and things for these videos. What's one thing where you were maybe sweating to see if you were going to get it in time for one of your videos? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Maybe not. There's a couple actually. One was when we played. It was both with Houston actually, the Texans game this year, and I did like I put like the Whataburger on like a model rocket and like tried to blast it off. And my sister lives in Texas, so there's no burgers here, and there's like that one thing, Gold Belly, that like overnights food really fast for you, and they weren't on there. So I was like, damn. And I had this like whole idea with it, so I ended up messaging my sister and I was like, is there any way like you can ship me Whataburger, like whatever it costs, I'll do. And it was like really expensive, and she had this idea because she needed a lunchbox for work. So she was like, I'm gonna buy a lunchbox, I'm not gonna tell them there's food in it because you're supposed to do all this stuff with food. She's like, I'm just gonna like put a bunch of ice packs in it and put like 3 Whataburgers in there, and like hopefully it makes it. And I wasn't gonna eat it, so like it didn't matter. So
right,
that she literally like shipped it to me. It got there like Friday maybe. So that one was a little hard because I was like, damn, I can't get it how I usually get things, and I didn't know if it was gonna work out. And then the worst part was not necessarily getting it in time, but I bought the model rocket on like a Wednesday. And like I said, I'm a procrastinator, so I never opened the box. I was just like, I thought it was just going to be like together and I could just like press a button. And me and my girlfriend went out for my buddy's birthday the night before for like dinner and drinks. We get home at like midnight Saturday night, games at 1:00 Sunday. So I'm like, all right, let me just get this ready so like we can wake up and fire it off really fast. And I open it and it's in like 100 pieces. You need to like hot wire. There's like wires and like you have to like get it all right. And I'm like not good at this stuff at all. I was up to like 3 a.m. like sweating. Like I was like, I don't even know if this is gonna work. Like, but it ended up. I mean, it launched kind of. The Whataburger was a little too heavy to take off anywhere, but it looked pretty funny. But that one was probably the most stressed I was when I like opened the box at midnight and it's just hundreds of pieces. I'm like a little tipsy. And I'm like, damn, I gotta put this thing together.
I feel like you gotta start a little side show, like some type of like social media live video of you putting like behind the scenes, putting this stuff together. Like you can literally go live on Instagram as you're putting together the rocket. Like that could be like kind of like a side kind of thing going there.
I really should, or like keep some of the outtakes because some of the stuff that happens is just like outrageous.
So I have a story. So I kind of came across your page pretty early in the experiment. I have my cousin knows one of your buddies, Casey Sheehan, and I think he put it. I had already kind of started to see your stuff, but he told me he knew you, so I started looking at him more, and they were just like a riot. Like I remember one of the first ones where I was like, this dude drove to Pittsburgh just for this video. Like that was absolutely crazy. Like I respect the hustle. I respect the grind, but something happened. And like your original Twitter account, somebody like reported it, or what actually happened with that? Like with the original Brother Bill Twitter account.
I had like a dude who like made like a fake account. So he was like using my name and like, it was like one hashtag off of my hashtag and it was like my picture. So it was confusing kind of people. And he was just like being like terrible and like trying to get people to think I was tweeting these terrible things. And I really wasn't paying it much mind because I thought if you just let it go and like didn't give him any attention, it would just go away. And the one mistake I didn't block him, which I should have, but he went through, like, whoever it was went through all my tweets with like music in it and reported like everything. And I got banned for like copyright infringement, and they kicked me off Twitter, and then I had to restart it. Yeah. So that was really frustrating.
How many followers did you have when that happened?
I think I was at
Like
8,000.
8,000, right?
7 or
I remember
8.
So I can't remember who I was talking to. Maybe it was like Nate Geary or somebody. I can't remember. And I apologize if that wasn't who it was, but they were talking about like that they were talking to you about restarting it, and you were kind of on the fence about it, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, it took forever to do that. I don't know if I want to like start it new. And I'm like, dude, start it back up, man. You'll be surprised. That thing's gonna skyrocket once again, especially when you have this big kind of like return, and then that's what it was. And now you're almost at like 20,000 followers.
Yeah,
I feel like
cool.
That's awesome, dude. Like, it's like you've kind of built it all back up.
Yeah, I was definitely down on it. It was just like, one was like, it was frustrating after like how much it had grown and the people I like met out of it and stuff. But it was also just like, did I want to like come back to like, if this dude was going to keep going at me, like, did I want to like have that? Cause it was affecting my like normal life now, where I'm like,
right,
people are going to think I'm saying these things. Is going to affect like me and my business life and like my normal personal life when I'm not online being myself. But there were a few people who reached out to me and were being like super cool and reminding me like how much people really liked it. So that was kind of my girlfriend and a few other people, and that was kind of what got me like pumped up to do it again. And then as soon as I came back, it was just really fun, and I was like, yeah, I love doing this.
That's awesome. So in addition to being a super fan, you are one of the elite barbers in the area. Do you ever have anyone come into the shop and kind of do like a double take, like, wait a minute, that's brother Bill, like without even knowing that you were working there or that was your shop?
I've had some people randomly who like aren't even getting a haircut by me that will like be getting a haircut by like my boss and be like, I love the videos, man. Like randomly as I'm like walking by, like, so never like that, like exactly like that, but there's definitely like moments like that where people just come up to me and be like, hey, I love the videos. Or sometimes I'll be like at a restaurant and people will come up and be like, you delivered a pack of Pepsi to my house last year, and like that's always really funny and stuff like that.
What's the deal with the Pepsi, by the way? Like, is that just something that I've never met somebody that was so passionate. Well, I gotta lie there. That's a lie. I've met people that are like Team Coke or Team Pepsi, but never somebody that's so like is ready to just plaster that over social media every chance they get. You love Pepsi, dude.
So it's like an inside joke, honestly. My best friend played hockey at RET a few years back. And I didn't go to college. I was just cutting hair like from the time I was like 19 on. So I never like, my schedule was really easy to like just like go chill till like 2 a.m. when like with college kids and stuff. So like I basically lived on my buddy's couch for 4 years, and I was really close with all his teammates. And there's this one dude on his team who's like one of my best friends from that team, and he made this page called Pepsi Dad, and it's just like I retweeted a lot because it's really funny, but just a shtick of like this dude who doesn't know how to use Twitter, doesn't spell anything right, but just like loves Pepsi. Like everything he tweets is about Pepsi. So like this was like 9 years ago, maybe. So that's when he started it, and it just became he's a Bills fan too. So we would just like make jokes about drinking Pepsi for good luck and all this stuff. And I just kind of brought it into Brother Bill, and like people just, I guess Buffalo's like one of the biggest Pepsi markets. So it just kind of took off too, but it was really organic because like I do drink a lot of Pepsi. I've been drinking Pepsis for good luck in games for like 8-9 years, something like that. And it's just like a kind of an inside joke between a few of my buddies that's like taken off with this community now, which is funny.
Yeah, that's great. Now it's something else you're passionate about, Lebat Blue. And
Yes.
What was it like doing a Lebat Blue commercial?
That was awesome. They're really cool there. So they've always like supported me and like reached out to me and wanted to do stuff with me. And that was awesome. Like that whole idea was really cool. It was freezing, but it was really fun to go up on the silo and get people fired up for the playoffs. It was pretty sick.
That's unbelievable.
I wanted to ask too, what has been like, obviously that was probably one of the cooler things that have happened because of this kind of alter ego that you've developed for yourself. But has there been anything else that, like, stands out as like, wow, I can't believe this happened? Like, I've had beers with Del Reed more times than I can count. And usually when we get to talking, it's just he just starts talking about, like, sometimes he can't believe, like, going from, his job he had a decade ago doing IT and working with computers. And now he's like making shirts and like the co-founder of Bills Mafia. It's like, it just takes off. It becomes this crazy thing that you never expected, but now all of a sudden, like, all these cool things are part of it.
Yeah. Probably the one for me was when I was in that like Pepsi ad with like a bunch of Bills Mafia people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was halftime. I was at the game with my girlfriend, and I went up to get my Good Luck Pepsi at halftime. And as I was up going to this, like the thing, like I couldn't see the Jumbotron or anything. They were playing like the ad. So I'm like walking back to my seat right after I got done playing with like a Pepsi in my hand. And like, as I'm walking back to my seat, everybody's like, I can hear them like pointing at, or see them pointing at me and like whispering and be like, oh, he's got a Pepsi, he's got a Pepsi. And I get to my seat and like everyone's staring at me, and my girlfriend's like, they just played your video. And everyone was like high-fiving me and like, oh my God, he's got a Pepsi. Because it like just aired and I was literally just got back from getting it. So that was really funny just because like they played it at the Bills game, which was nuts because I never would think I was ever going to be on the Jumbotron there. And to see like Bills by a billion all over, like I don't know if I was the first one to ever say it, but I think I definitely like popularized it. So that's always really cool to see like that everywhere nowadays, which is really just surreal, really.
What about social media too? Because celebrity Bills fans, they're retweeting your stuff, they're commenting. I tell Matt all the time, like, I'm like, dude, like the total package Lex Luger retweeted our podcast or this, because I grew up like this huge pro wrestling fan, and that's like surreal to me. What about like for you though, with some of these celebrity Bills fans who are now following your stuff pretty religiously?
Yeah, that was really cool. When Dell first like came upon my page, that was awesome. And he like reached out to me and like took down my number and like gave me a call and was just like, I love what you're doing. Like any ideas you ever have, like pitch them to me. I'd love to like do anything you're thinking of and stuff like that. That was awesome. I think the most surreal moment for me was, I don't remember which of it. I think it was the Kansas City Chiefs Sunday night game last year. And after my video, Stevie Johnson like tweeted at me and was like, you're a legend, brother Bill. And I was just like, wow. Cause that was like my high school years, So that was like when I was like a kid still, and I loved him. He was my favorite player. I had his jersey. So that was like probably like the coolest moment that I remember being just like, dang, this is sick.
Funny enough, my former life as a Bills fan, Stevie Johnson was one of only 4 Bills that I ever had a jersey of. It was Stevie Johnson. That was the last one I owned. Terrell Owens, because like everybody was getting a Terrell Owens.
The hype
right?
was
that
real.
Was like, the hype for that was real. Bruce Smith throughout my entire childhood, and Chris Spielman. Like I love Chris Spielman. The Bills did a great job of marketing him when they brought him in, and I just like, I don't know if I saw like a mini documentary on him or something or whatever, but I think my aunts or something, I'm like, I need that for Christmas. I need a Spielman jersey. I was all Spielman all the time. That was like, it was just, he was my spirit animal at the time. I tried to live life like Chris Spielman.
I was always known for having like really outrageous like favorite players. Like I was a huge Andrew Crowell guy.
Ooh,
I
okay.
had a Roscoe Parrish jersy. It was like right after Bledsoe too, so everyone would be like, "You still got a Bledsoe jersey?" And I'd be like, turn around and be like, "Parrish." And then I had a Nickel Roby before he was Roby Coleman jersey, because I like,
wow.
When the moment he came to training camp, he was like 5'6". I think he was like 20 years old too, and I was just all in on him just for those facts alone.
And he had
ended up being good.
He had a great camp and like into his first season. Like he was like a low key, like, I get the hype about that for sure. Like he was
that
really
first
good
year
early
was
on.
like awesome. Like he was so much better than I would have ever expected.
Ryan, what was your favorite Bills jersey that you owned?
As a kid, I think it was probably I had Thurman Thomas, and I had Cornelius Bennett. I loved him.
Ooh,
Yep. One of the last ones I had, believe it or not, and I don't know why I got it. Brian Moorman. Well, I know why I got it. He was like the best player on the team at that time. And where do you ever see punter jerseys? They were in stores, and I had a Brian Moorman jersey. So that's one of the last ones I've
Brian
ever had.
Moorman jersey.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know this about you. This changes a
Oh,
lot of the
yeah.
dynamic of our.
You just
of our
wait. You just wait till
relationship.
there's the Matt Ariza jerseys in the crowd. I guarantee there will be some
There will
sooner
be.
rather than
Oh,
later.
100%.
There's a big difference though. Like when like your like moniker is the punt god. There's like a level of cool to that. Like Brian Moorman was literally like, as a Bills fan at that time, I had nothing personally against Brian Moorman, but I despise the idea of being known. Our entire team was known for a punter. Like that drove me absolutely nuts. But then didn't he have the one big hit in the Pro Bowl the one year?
Oh,
Didn't he
yeah,
lay
laid out
somebody
by
out?
Sean Taylor. No, he got laid
Oh no,
out.
Sean Taylor laid him
Yeah,
out.
laid him out. Yeah.
Dude, I this is terrible to admit. I low key like love that. Like I low
It
key
is
was
a
like, okay,
hilarious
Sean,
highlight.
nice.
Well, I mean, the Bills did that to themselves, though. They put him on the season ticket renewal form
Right.
one year. Like it was him punting out of his end zone against the Browns in that it was like a terrible game. I think it was a 6-3 final or something like that.
I was at that game.
You were at
I was
okay,
at that
see?
game. Roscoe Parrish botched a punt, and he was benched for the rest of the year. It was like Jerron's doghouse. I think it was the last year of Jerron.
And so you probably ripped off the Roscoe Parrish jersey right then and there.
This is probably one of the last times I wore it.
So we got JR here on YouTube. He says, Brother Bill, I lived in Wisconsin for 6 years. I have ideas for Green Bay video coming up this year. So this brings up a great point. And JR, maybe send Brother Bill a DM. Is that something that you get people like with ideas DMing you? Has it gotten to that level? Do you welcome those ideas, or do you kind of like it to be, your own thing, or do you like it to be a kind of a community effort?
Every now and then I get some DMs. I definitely personally like to think of it myself, but if you got a good idea and I like it, I'll definitely do it and give you a shout out or whatever. But
that's awesome.
I have one really, really good idea I'm in love with for the Green Bay video already. So I'm excited for that. But I need at least, I usually try to do at least 3-4 things. So my DMs
That's
are
awesome.
open.
All right.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, we were actually
you're good.
talking, is there pressure for you to deliver, or have there ever been any duds where it never saw the light of day and then maybe you changed it on the fly?
There's, it's weird. It ended up being one of my best ones, but the Jacksonville Jaguars one, I was super stressed about because I was I don't know anything about Jacksonville. I don't think they have much of a food culture or anything. I really don't know. So that one, I was this is going to suck. I was super down about it. And it ended up, I got the Jaguar car, which was huge. My boy hooked me up with that. And I made fun of Urban Meyer pretty hard. And that was a time where he was right in the spotlight. So I think that just worked out well. But that one I was really nervous for. There's been a few where I'm I don't know about this, but I think I'm kind of hard on myself too. So
Yeah.
It's ended up to be good, but there's definitely times. There was the Patriots Monday night last year where I had to scrap my it didn't I had a whole plan and it fell apart Saturday, and I had nothing planned and I just had to wing it, and it ended up being a really good one too, and I was really happy with it. But I ended up I had off that weekend because my buddy was in town, which was clutch. So I had time to go to the store, buy a little video camera, whatever I used, and figure it out. But that one was really stressful because it was
what was the no, go ahead.
The thing.
Yeah, what was so bad about the first one?
It wasn't bad. It just ended up schedules. I had I don't know if I want to say it because I might end up.
Oh,
making it
okay.
true now. I had an ex Bill who was very interested in being in it, and we were gonna do the whole thing together. And the schedule is just for when he's in town, it's pretty crazy. I feel like they have so much stuff to do, and he was trying to make it work on his end with the things he was doing, and it just wasn't gonna be. I just knew it wasn't gonna be right for the shots that I had in my mind, I didn't think it was going to come out like how it would have been cool still, but it wouldn't have come out how I really wanted it to. So I was like, I think I'm gonna have to scrap it and it wasn't like any hard feelings. Like we were just like, he understood, he was really busy. So it just ended up like not working, but I'm going to try to reach out to him and hopefully maybe this year we can do it.
Nice. You'll have to like tag us underneath and be like, this
Yeah.
is what I was talking about. And you finally deliver that one. All right. So I wanted to get a couple more things in before we let you get out of here. First and foremost, big news. We saved it for now because you had some reaction to it. And obviously, big Bills fan in the heart of the drought, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think that his place in Bills history is a really interesting conversation to have. I saw Buffalo Wins today tweeted out something about Ryan Fitzpatrick, kind of like a very on-brand tweet about just him not being as good as Bills fans kind of remember him to be. And it just got me thinking to like, is he kind of overvalued because of how much he was just beloved? I mean, it was so many bad years before he got here. There was a couple, there was a lot of good games, but there wasn't really a lot of great seasons in that mix. But just, I don't know, like for me, I don't know how you can downplay his place in it, whatever that place is, because, comes back for Eric Woods, retirement announcement. He goes to an actual playoff game last year for the Bills, takes his shirt off. He's partying in the sea of the Mafia. Like, he's still in the NFL at that point. He may have known he was retiring, but still, he's still an NFL quarterback. And he's just, I don't know. I love Fitzpatrick. I loved him when he was here. I love what I've heard about him. Obviously, I've gotten pretty close to Eric Wood. I've had conversations with him about Fitz before, and the way that he talks about him. I mean, there's not a lot of like real genuine dudes, and to me he feels like that. Where do you feel like he falls in Bills history?
I think you kind of nailed it. It's kind of like, what's the one saying, like distance makes the heart grow fonder or something like that? Because I remember towards the end of his tenure, like I was like fed up. Like I was like, he's not the guy. He stinks. Like he's got to go. But as he goes away and like you remember some of and you still see him having like the time of his life and like just making things work sometimes and doing just like, like lead blocking for like a running back or whatever. He'll just do it all. He'll lay it all out for you. And I think there's definitely like a respect factor that like, even when I didn't think he was the guy, like I loved him as what he like was. Like, was it his fault that our team wasn't like a very functional team and like they entrusted him to be like a franchise quarterback? No, like he did what he was supposed to do. I still feel like he just wasn't that guy. But I mean, if you're gonna like, I feel like people who are raining on some people's parades are just being haters today. I don't think he's like a Wall of Fame candidate. He's like the ultimate dude. Like it was like the dude Hall of Fame, like 100%. But like as a Bill, no. But he's the man. Like I think any team in the NFL, if you have a player showing up to your, like an ex-player showing up to your game shirtless, like any fan base is going to embrace that and be like, this guy's amazing. This guy's awesome. So what he is for the fans, I don't think you could take it away. Like he was awesome. He's an awesome dude. Loved being here, which a lot of people didn't, especially back then. So he's got a special place in my heart. I don't think he's all world or like going down in the Bills history books, but it'll be in our hearts for sure.
I think that's well said. I think he's one of the best journeyman quarterbacks of all time. And that doesn't mean you're one of the greats of the NFL, but this was someone that was probably brought in to be a quarterback 3, and he gets an opportunity with the Rams, and he's with the Bills, with all these teams. The one thing I noticed today, though, is just about every place that he played for, someone from the media gave him a shout out about how great he was to interact with. Someone from Miami was talking about his beard trimming process that he shared with them. And then obviously with Tampa Bay, the time he was wearing Vincent Jackson's outfit to the press conference, and what that outfit belongs to, he's like the chest hair. So he was just that guy that people love to cover. He was someone that, even though he was never, he wasn't the guy, he had those little spurts where you thought, man, this guy can keep you in games. 2011, where they blow out the Chiefs, they get the comeback, the last second win against the Raiders, and then they beat the Patriots, and they start out 3-0. And that Patriots game, I remember people in the crowd throwing things up in the air, his jubilation. So he had his moments. that Bills fans will never forget on the field, but he's just so beloved off the field. You still enjoyed him even when he was with other teams. The Fitz scream that you saw here and at other stops, just little things like that made him so beloved everywhere he went.
When I worked in high school, I worked at Frontier Field, like where the Red Wings play. I was like grounds crew member, so we'd be like right on the field, and they had a batting practice day with like 4 Bills players, and he was one of them. And we were like shagging balls in like left field together while like Nick Barnett was hitting. And I was like a 17-year-old, 18-year-old kid, and he was just like, you know what I mean? Like chatting it up with me, being really cool. I'll never forget that. Like he was just the man. He was super cool.
That's awesome.
He finished his Bills tenure as the 5th ranked in passing yardage at 11,654 yards, 4th all time behind Jim Kelly, Josh Allen, and Joe Ferguson with 80 touchdowns. And that's another crazy thing. Like Josh Allen's already 3rd all time on the Bills all time touchdown passes list. He probably only needs 2 more seasons to get into 2nd place. He's got 103 right now, and Joe Ferguson has 181. So probably 3, but like I could see a world with 17 games we live in where Josh Allen is 2nd all time with like 180-ish touchdowns in 2025 at some point. But I think, Fitzpatrick's career arc is so wild too, because the Fitzmagic moniker kind of was born in Buffalo. He had a bunch of games where he was like, he brought the team back or he had big time moments. All 6 of his 400-yard passing games and the 1-6 touchdown passing game of his career all came after Buffalo in all of these journeyman stops along the way. So I think, to your point, Ryan, like I think that solidifies him as one of those GOAT journeyman. I mean, he had already kind of made his mark. He had his chance to start. And then it was really that second portion of his career where he just went nuclear at times and nuclear Fitzpatrick was just so fun to watch.
Yeah, that's well said. Well, and you mentioned before the show that you were hoping to wear a Fitz t-shirt, and I used to have one, and it was well before the 26 shirts days, and it showed him, and I think there's maybe a halo around him, and it said like the Amish rifle underneath, and it had stains all over it, so I'm like, I had to get rid of it recently, and I was distraught.
Yeah, I got that 26 shirt special where it's the one of him at the press conference with the chest hair and the glasses. It was too good to pass up. I had to order it. I've always just had a soft spot for Fitz. I just knew that he's probably gonna retire. I could probably get away with wearing it, and it was pretty funny. For this team though, brother Bill, before we let you get out of here and we gotta wrap this thing up, we got a game 1 of the finals to get to here in about 7 minutes. This year's team, what I guess the best way to phrase a question is, what about what this Bills team is heading into this year with what you've already seen of this regime, Josh Allen, has you most excited or confident that this could be a Super Bowl run kind of team?
I think the way we went out in the playoffs, honestly, like I think Josh, obviously he's amazing. He's been so good the last 2 seasons, 2.5 really, if you really watch the games like most Bills fans do and not the rest of the world did. But like he didn't play his best football in the playoffs even the year before when he was like still an MVP candidate and amazing. And like last year was like, I think that was him like not being scared of the moment anymore, not having like there's no nerves anymore. He was just like the guy, like I mean pretty much. And that makes me really excited for like what's coming, because I think that was hitting his apex, and I think it's just gonna take off from there. And we added a ton to our D-line, which I think was probably our weak link. Really, there wasn't much, but I think that was it. Offensive line and defensive line. So I'm really excited. I'm excited to have Jordan Phillips back. That's my guy. Obviously, Von Miller, I'm excited about. But yeah, I think it's sounds crazy, but I think it's Super Bowl or bust this year. Like I think this is the most put together this team will be, with like the way contracts are going to start going and money's going to be a little tighter. Like I think the window's always open with Josh too, but like this is like the year that this nucleus has to do it.
Yeah,
I think that's
no,
well
that's
said.
perfect. So,
And Ryan, I think, and I want you to kind of close out here before we get to our final value read. Um, I think Super Bowl or bust should be the expectation at this point. Like I thought, like going into the playoffs last year with how well that they were playing, I was going into that playoff run saying it kind of felt like Super Bowl or bust last year, just because you never know year to year how things are going to change. And I thought the Bills were playing better than any team on both sides of the ball going into the playoffs. And if you remember, I'm talking about from that halftime of Tampa Bay to through the start of the playoffs, the offense had figured it out. They had the number one defense in the league. I thought that they had a really, really good field goal kicker. I thought all of the components were there, and you got to, strike while the iron is hot. There was, it was kind of a down year in the AFC. Cincinnati rose to the occasion. They obviously won a couple games, beat Kansas City, but I thought Kansas City was beatable. They looked like it in that game, even though they were able to pull it out. So I think you look at this year, the odds are what they are. I mean, no team has better odds to win the Super Bowl than the Buffalo Bills. They have the odds-on favorite to win the MVP in Josh Allen. I don't see any way how you get out of this season without a Super Bowl and have it not be a disappointment, aside from maybe an injury or something like that.
yeah. Barring a significant injury to one of your key players, it is a Super Bowl or bust year. And, Brother Bill already mentioned the defensive line, huge additions there. And not just Von Miller, obviously DaQuan Jones. I'm a big Tim Settle guy. I think he's going to have a nice role on this team. I thought he was great in Washington. But when you do add a guy like Von Miller, you already have a great secondary. He's going to have a little bit of extra time to get after that quarterback, or he's going to force the quarterback to get rid of the ball a little bit faster. And that's going to work to the favor of your Trey Whites, Kyer Elams, and that safety duo, Taron Johnson, etc. But it's also the little things. It's the fact that you upgraded your offensive line coach with Aaron Cromer and you bring in a Roger Saffold. I saw a stat that Josh Allen, he doesn't check it down. I don't think he had a great check down option. You bring in James Cook, who I think can be a check down option, a guy that you're going to get the ball to quickly at the line of scrimmage, a Jamison Crowder who's known for the yards after catch. Just little changes. And even though they lost their offensive coordinator, Brian Dable, to the New York Giants, at least you have that continuity with Ken Dorsey, who's been here in the system. So just all of it together makes me think this has to be the year. And again, to Brother Bill's point, as long as you have a franchise quarterback like Josh Allen, you're always going to be in it. You're always going to be in the conversation. But the team as a whole has not been this good over, the last 2 years. And it's going to get harder to be this good when you have players year after year that are going to be looking to get paid.
We don't have this very often where we got breaking news at the end of a podcast, but we are going to have to go into a little bit of the start of this game. The Buffalo Bills have signed Tavon Austin, wide receiver, longtime wide receiver in the NFL. He came into the league back in 2013, and let me add it up here. 9-year NFL pro. He has played in 113 career NFL games. He's done a little bit of everything. He's been a gadget guy. He's been a slot guy. He's returned kicks. I think it's really interesting. I want to get everybody's take on it. For my first thought here is, adding depth. They obviously moved on from Cole Beasley. I know a lot of people are excited about Jamison Crowder, but to me, this is a guy that comes in here and pushes all the pieces in there. Marquez Stevenson, who was a rookie last year, is going to put additional pressure on him. He's had a little bit of a shaky start in minicamp here over the last couple of weeks in OTAs. Isaiah McKenzie, he returned a lot of kicks last year. He was benched. They haven't really addressed that spot. Austin's primarily been a punt returner over the course of his career, so that could be maybe he gets in the mix there. We'll see. Brother Bill, let's start with you, and then we'll have Ryan finish it off. Tavon Austin, how does that hit you?
As an Isaiah McKenzie stan, I'm a little worried. I don't like that. But if he's gonna return the ball good, I see him mostly probably as like a return guy. I mean, I love Isaiah as a receiver. I don't know if he's the best return. I mean, he's good when he doesn't drop the ball or fumble, but I don't know. That is interesting. Like, he's definitely gonna give people a run for. He's a vet. He's done it a while. Like, he's gonna push some people. But I think my guy Isaiah is safe no matter what. I got faith in him.
Yeah, I agree completely. Safe as for his wide receiver play, but I think for Tavon Austin, he has a chance to make this roster as the punt returner. You saw last year, McKenzie, Stevenson, some other players. It just wasn't working. And at some point, you have to stop putting Micah Hyde back there, even though 99% of the time he's fair catching that ball. Do you really want to put one of your key defensive players back there in a situation where something could happen? I don't think it's worth it. And with Austin in his history, I just think he makes more sense at this point to bring him in to see what he can do this summer.
He's had 25 fumbles in 9 seasons. Hasn't been quite as much of an issue in recent years, but the times he's touched the ball has gone down dramatically. Had a pretty decent year in Dallas where he had a couple of touchdown catches, but really it's been quiet for Austin since 2016. Speed guy, he's a little bit older now at age 32, but I think you bring him in here and just throw another, guy in the pile there and see what happens. Put more pressure, add more competition. I think the wide receiver position's been one that people have wanted the Bills to address, even in addition to Crowder and in addition to Khalil Shakir. And who knows, maybe Tavon Austin wants to, get in a situation where maybe he can get in some preseason games, with this offense, which has been so good, and really show that he could still play in this league. And maybe that's one area, if you break down this depth chart for the Bills on their at wide receiver, that downfield home run hitter type of player, maybe they view Tavon Austin as having a shot to contribute in that department. But it's going to be an uphill battle for him to make the roster. I've been one of the people that have kind of, pulled back or tapped the brakes a little bit on the Jamison Crowder guaranteed a spot on the 53. I know that seems to be the general consensus amongst the fan base, and he probably does end up making the 53, especially if he connects with Josh Allen and they have a good chemistry, good rapport. But the more guys you add in the mix, I think the more pressure it puts on everything and everybody. And it could be just come down to who's healthy as you get to that time when you have to cut down the roster. And, I kind of view all of these guys in the same pot, if you will, in terms of Austin, Crowder, and Marquez Stevenson in kind of his own little pot because he's got a lot of work to do. But Isaiah McKenzie, I agree with Brother Bill. I think he's about as safe as it comes. I think what he could do as a receiver, I think it's why they didn't try to do more at the position, because I think that, for as much as they use him in the slot and as much time as he's spent, learning from Cole Beasley, I think that there's more untapped potential for McKenzie as a receiver. And I think they maybe can try to use him in that department this year.
Love it.
No, I think it's all well said. I see someone in the chat saying Stevenson is gone. We've mentioned that, Matt, drop issues. Speed is there, but if you can't be relied upon to haul in the ball, if you can't be relied upon to be a returner, this is what a guy like Tavon Austin is brought in for, is maybe a direct competition to be that last man on this roster, the bottom of the roster guy, the last wide receiver, so to speak. So it's going to be interesting. It's an uphill battle for him to make this roster, in my opinion, as of right now. But we've seen some guys come in here, have really strong training camps and preseasons, and kind of prove their worth over those few months.
All right, Brother Bill, my man, thank you so much for joining us tonight, man. We really appreciate it. I hope you had some fun. I hope it was worth the wait. It was good to chat.
100%. Thanks for having me, guys. I love being on here.
Thank
It's
you.
awesome. Follow. You can follow
when you guys are in Rochester for training camp.
Yes, I've been forced to have a garbage plate. So we'll see how that goes. I don't think I've had a good one. Okay. I think I had one in Buffalo at one.
No, I got you.
Oh, did he freeze up?
It looks a lot. It looks like it's going to be a lot to handle, especially for somebody that I've been watching my calorie intake, and that's going to kind of put me in a coma, I think. So we'll see how it goes. So you can find him at Brother Bill 716 on Twitter. Go follow him right now. Let's get him over 20,000 here. He brings the joy and smiles to the fan base. It's been fun to catch up, man.
100%. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You guys are awesome on a special Thursday night here. ValueHomeCenters.com. Just so you know, customers can shop there anytime. You buy online, pick up today, or find a huge selection of products that they can ship to your local store. You can pick up from their warehouse for free. And then while you're at it, text VALUE, VALU, to 80692. Join their text program, receive a $10 off $40 purchase coupon, plus be the first to know about new promotion deals and new products. For Ryan Talbot, I'm Matt Parrino. We will see you soon. Take care, everybody.